find it difficult to focus on your customers and even your own employees as you're juggling numerous vendors? Do you have more meetings with vendors than you can count? And do their reports filled with technical jargon make you feel clueless and frustrated? Such is the story of Nathan. Being at a car dealership, he's concerned about his store's digital marketing presence and invests most of his time dealing with vendors to promote his business and gain more sales and market share. Nathan is busy handling reports and reviewing them, not knowing what is happening on the advertising front and about his true ROI. Poor Nathan is worried but can't figure out a solution until he found BZ Consultants Group. BZ Consultants stepped in and was able to take the digital marketing vendor burden off Nathan's plate, giving him peace of mind that the best interest of the dealer was always top of mind. Being an unbiased third party, BZ Consultants always made sure to relay the reports in easy, relatable, and actionable ways so that Nathan could best utilize the data. Now, Nathan can focus on what he really wanted, the customer experience and growth. By being your digital marketing business partner, BZ Consultants Group will remove the hassle of trying to hold your vendors accountable and increase your productivity with the time you will now have armed with true data. Together, we make it possible because your success is our goal.
Hello, wonderful people. Welcome into Facts, Not Feelings. I am your host, Brooke Furniss. Now, I've always believed in the power of storytelling and also believing in the influence of different perspectives. Like, yes, I am flying solo today. You can see there's no one next to me. I'm flying solo. And if you did not catch the Facebook Live yesterday, this is intentional because while I'm flying solo today, do not fret. We have a lot to unravel today. So let me first set the stage a little bit here of what we're doing today is that I was born in a smaller town in Idaho. If you didn't know, I was born in Idaho. I live in Chicago now. I've lived in a lot of different, about every single state. But where I was born, it was pretty cut and dry. And sadly, it was like black and white on how things how perceptions were seen. And so, not that it was good or bad, that was just kind of how it was. And so my journey to kind of to broaden my perspective eventually took me to Japan. And I lived in Japan for quite a while. And so as I did that, it was all the way across the world. And I was really young when I did this. And I lived in Japan. I was in multiple different countries. And I eventually landed in Hiroshima. And that became my home. It became my teacher. And I was able to see through a different lens of how other people viewed the world. And this was so fantastic. And it really did shape me into the person I am today. And while I really encourage everyone to get out and see the world. And if you know me well enough, I've said this multiple times, but also again, I could begin to appreciate the depths of individual realities and different perspectives of the world. And this journey also shaped me to obviously who I am today and the understanding of the world, and also to the core of who I am today. So that's also what Facts About Feelings is like looking at different perspectives and challenging those perspectives. And today, that is what we're going to be discussing today, is exactly that, the power of perception and how it forms our realities and the importances of seeking to understand before passing judgment. Now, I know we just hopped in here real quickly with that. Real quickly, as always, someone out there needs to hear this message. This is something I hold really dear. And there's a reason why I specifically chose today to talk about this and to go fly solo, because there's a couple of announcements we're going to get to later on in the show. If you caught my Facebook Live, we're going to talk about that again today, the announcements we're going to talk about. So as always, there's someone out there that needs to hear this message. So tag them, share it with them. Let's get the comments rolling with them. Let them know that, hey, challenge those perspectives a little bit. This is what the show is. That's what we're talking about today. Is once again, we're going to be discussing the power of perception, how it forms our realities, and the importance of seeking to understand before passing judgment. And that's a big one. We do it so often, and it's not just. I know that sounds kind of like a feeling portion of the show, but we are going to tie this back into automotive and how we can do that, how we do that in the automotive world as well. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but hang with me. We are going to get there. So in the spirit of Hiroshima, and I know that was another thing. I got there and I thought, wait, they keep saying Hiroshima. And I was always taught that was Hiroshima. And something as simple as that, like we think that these words, like certain things are a certain way. And my aunt and uncle lived in Ukraine, and certain things like certain words that we think in America that it's done, they're pronounced certain ways. Even things like that, that so quickly we're quick to assume it's said a certain way or it's done a certain way, when in fact it's not that at all. So, in the spirit of that, my experiences over there, I want to dive into a story real quickly of in the automotive space. So, how we're so quickly to perceive something and say, okay, that's reality, but it's not at all. So, taking this a little bit from a surface level is that let's say that you own a car dealership, because a lot of us out there own car dealerships, or even if you don't own a car dealership, you're working at a car dealership, and you see that vehicle, there's a vehicle there, and it's just not selling. That happens all the time, right? It's not selling. So you're automatically thinking, oh man, that car just sucks. Those features are outdated. It's the price too high. You just assume it's X, Y, and Z. But your perception is your reality. And so you perceive it's that, when in fact, that's not it at all. If you actually dived into the facts of it, you would see that what really is happening with the marketing of it is that you're marketing to a very young demographic, when in fact that vehicle and that particular model is for a much older demographic. So as soon as you dive into the facts and delve into what exactly is happening with that, and change and challenge your perception, you would see that, wait, we need to tweak this a little bit. So by tweaking it, you would see that, okay, let's go this direction. You do that, you change the marketing, change the demographic, boom, it's going to start selling. So what happens then? So the whole thing is that once you change your marketing strategy and the sales pick up, and just like that, seeking to understand the full story versus this tiny narrow vision and with the blinders on, you manage to turn the situation all the way around. And how often are we doing that? Whether it's with marketing, whether it's with our employees, whether it's with, hey, this vendor over here, man, they're just full of crap. So we don't want to know the full story. So I'm going to take a break here real quickly, and Jordan, going to say hi to you real quickly. Yo, what is up with you, Jordan? And Jeff, as always, let the record show that I just invited Jordan. Jordan, you might just, that record of number one, Jeff is now inviting you. I'm just saying here. We got Brian saying that Brian is in the house. So Brian, by the way, I hope that your Memorial Day sale went really well. So I'm going to say, I hope the inflatable, this is for you right now, inflatable arm man, went very, very well for you. And you might not get that ever again on the show, Brian. So I hope that you appreciate it. Challenge my perception about what, oh my gosh. So I'm going to say GIF, because if I say GIF, it's a freaking peanut butter. So that's where I'm going with that. And there was actually a documentary on the person that did the GIF and how they pronounced it. This was like a couple years ago, and they said it was GIF. So I'm sticking with GIF on this one, Jeff. That's what I'm going with. We've got here, I invented a new photo format called the Jeff. Jeff. I love it. We got Jordan. Brooke is still my number one favorite, and followed by Jeff and Brian. Okay. I like it. I love it. Clap and love. This is for you. That's kind of a heart there, Brian. So there you go, Brian. And we've got Geoff. That's true as well. That's true as well. And so as we've got these people commenting here, I know these awesome individuals right now that are commenting here, they're all about also challenging that perception. And they're not going to be like, oh, you know what? This is my way. And God, I agree with Jeff. It's all a perception that holds us back from success. Yeah, Peter, it's really, really true. And really, really true. Second place is the first place loser. Yes, Ricky Bobby. Yes. Is that too often as we see that. And I know that I'm going to get into Japan here a little bit, but I also say that is actually, no, I'm going to take a break here. Is that as we dive deeper into this, I do want to make, we've got a couple announcements to make here. And the first announcement is that it's a little close to my heart here, is that the first announcement is that we are taking the show on the road here, is that we're going to be live at the Customer Insight Summit. And for those that didn't catch on the Facebook Live, or if you didn't catch Micah and I's conversation last week, is that with the Vista Dash Summit here, it's the 12th to the 14th. We are taking the show on the road, the 12th to the 14th. We're going to be doing live streaming. So if you haven't already signed up for this, QR code is right there. Scan this bad boy. if you're going to be there and you want to be, if you're anyone that's on the show right now, if you're going to be there, drop it in the comments right now. I will make sure that you have first dibs on having live stream. And yeah, if you're watching this on demand later on, seriously, the sign up sheet I'm going to put out today to do live streams. We have a very limited number of spots because the conference is only, you come in on Monday, Rabbit Hole Distillery, awesome, phenomenal whiskey and bourbon. And then Tuesday, there's going to be the keynotes and what have you. And then Wednesday, we go home. So I have a very limited number of time available to do live streams. But so anyone that would like to be a part of that, if you're going to it, let me know. Drop in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to put it up today, and then we'll do some next week. But those are going to, I'm going to assume that they're going to fill up pretty quickly. So yeah. And then the second announcement we've got going on here is that the week after that, I'm going to come home. And then right after that, we've got Women in Automotive. I'll be speaking at that. If anybody's going to that, definitely let me know. If you have any questions about tickets, that wasn't up there very long, shoot me over a note. I can definitely assist with that any way possible. And then the last announcement that is it's a pretty big announcement, and the structure of the show is changing. It's not going anywhere. I'll be very clear. The show's not going anywhere. The whole point of the show was to, hey, how can we reach the most amount of people? How can we help the most amount of people? Not just reach them, but to help them. And so not in the immediate future, but I'll say semi-immediate future, because I'm gone for the next little bit here, but the Friday shows are still going to happen, but we're going to release the newest episode on Thursday. So currently what happens is this show goes on Friday, and then on Thursday, this episode gets cut up and produced and whatever, and then it drops the following Thursday. What's going to happen now, probably maybe like July-ish, is that the new episode will drop on Thursday, and then Friday, we're going to just have the facts, not feelings. We're going to talk about it. We're still and I'd love to get everyone's feedback on this. Do you want that Thursday episode to re-air on Friday and then us all talk about it? Or do you just want to have like a fireside chat and talk about it? But that's kind of what we're looking at to do right now. Jordan Cox could be a new co-host. Hold on, I got to put these up here. We've got so cool, so excited to get on the road. Yes, Jordan, I don't know if you're going to the Vista Dash Summit, but if you're there, definitely let me know. You've got first dibs on that. Jordan Cox could be the new co-host. Yeah, he probably could. That's true. But that's kind of the way we're going. It's just, like I said, we're trying to get to help the most amount of people as possible, to move the industry the most that we can. And that's kind of the way we're going with that. So those are the big announcements with that. And with that, let's dive back into this here a little bit. So we've got the big announcements out of the way. We got those out of the way. So back to the topic at hand. So power perception. We all perceive the world through our eyes, right? That's like our perception is our reality. It's the lens by which we view everything. And I know we're talking about Japan, and we'll get back to that in a second. I even go to when I used to be a really avid runner, and I would see someone and they'd be they would be like belaboring. I'm like, man, they got to be on like mile 22 at this point. And I'd see someone, they're just like, I'm like, man, they got to be on mile 1. But in reality, that's my perception. But the reality is that person that was just like cruising could have been on mile 22. And the person belaboring could have been on mile 1, because I don't know what the reality is. I have no idea what the reality is, but my perception is how they are seeming to me. So we just have to really slow down, because our perception is a reality. And so much of what our entire existence and everything that's led up to that builds up to that. And that makes what it is. So every experience we've had, every belief that we hold, they all color our understanding of life, the world around us. Our perceptions form our reality, and the reality is unique to what? To us, not our neighbor, not our coworker, to us. And so it's whatever we do in work, in our interactions with our colleagues, we have to keep that in mind, to constantly think, okay, am I getting to the reality, or I'm just perceiving my perception? So take another example from my time abroad, is that when I first moved to Hiroshima, my perception was a little influenced by what I knew and my life experience. And not only that, but what the history books had taught me, that the devastation, the atomic bombing, all the sorrow. And when I got over there and started living and seeing these incredible human beings, that things started to change a little bit, because I saw the resilience, that all these the peace. And it was just when I actually saw, and it was at the epicenter of where the bombing took place. It was almost like the spiritual, and I'm not a very religious person, but a very spiritual experience to see how these experiences taught me that there's always more to the situation than meets the eye. As I sat and took the tour of the entire facility, the building that, I don't want to say facility, but where the bomb actually hit, I was like, man, that was that key moment of, wow, there's always something more to this, and that you need the full story. And there's just always two sides to the story. So we encounter a situation or person, and our initial perception is based on what we see at the moment on the surface. It take the time before to dig in deeper, to gather all the facts and understand the history. And oftentimes we find that there's really more to the story than meets the eye. And are we really taking the time to do just that? Are we just automatically passing judgment? Once again, whether this is on our vendor partner, whether this is on our employees, whether it's on a colleague, whether it's on even our manager or owner, or even in our daily lives on our spouse or our whatever it may be. But I see this so often in our space that, going back to the prior example of the car, hey, well, the marketing is not working. Okay, why is the marketing not working? Is it because we're marketing it incorrectly, not to the right demographic, or we're trying to push something that the OEM wants, but the OEM isn't really in tune with what's really going on the ground level? What is coloring the entire perception? Because their perception is their reality and our perception is our reality. So let's dive into, they're looking at the feelings portion of it, and they may not know that, but they are. So we're looking down deep enough to understand what really is going on. So I just really got started thinking about this a little bit of like, okay, are we really looking at this? So in practical terms, what does this really mean? Are we asking enough questions? Are we asking more questions? Are we asking the correct questions? Are we doing enough research? Are we simply taking the time to not only listen, but hear the other person? Because a lot of times we don't take the time to do that. I mean, how many times have you been in a meeting with somebody, whether that's insert whatever, an office, a business meeting, a vendor meeting, and they're just talking, right? And you're like, would you just please listen? Like, can you please hear what I'm trying to say? Whether they're talking over you, whether they just want to tell you how great they are and pound their chest and like, look how great it is. We're up 10% again. Yeah, but you're up 10%. You're up 10% every single month. So you can't be up 10% every single month. You're up 10% because you're spending more, but we don't have anybody in house to handle those. So are you really up 10%? So are you listening to the other person, and are you hearing them? We got George saying here, thanks for sharing. I spent a few years in Japan and visited. Oh yeah. It's a very sobering, George. It is like, you go there. It's the same thing like as in Amsterdam, and same thing. It's a very sobering experience. Very, very sobering. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Oh, good times. And there's sometimes that like you say that, Jeff, and some people they want yes people around them. And it's sad that you're saying this, is that I want people around me that are going to say, you know what, Brooke, you're wrong, but here's how we can get to the right area. So people will surround themselves with, anyway, I'm sure most people on here have watched Succession or watching Succession. And how often you get yes people around you, like, no, you need people around you that are going to tell you that no, you do need the truth. We've got Russell saying, hello, Brooke, hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great day too, Russell. And Peter saying here, really, do you understand what is actually happening, as we don't hear the reality? And that's, Peter, that's where it's pulling back those layers. And it's, are you striving to know the truth? Or are you just checking a box because you got to check a box? Do you even want to know the truth? I mean, in all reality, do you want to know what's going on, whether it be with your employees, or does the vendor want to know what's going on? There's so many different layers to what you just said there, Peter. Do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know the reality? Or are you just trying to, I got to take a meeting with you and I'm going to check that box off? Then why even have the meeting? Like, all you want to do is pick a paycheck up. That's all you're trying to do. Like, you're just trying to, all right, they paid me on to the next client. All right, let's go. Or whatever it may be. So Peter, you bring up a very good point there. And when you find those people that really do want to get to the bottom of them, it's very, very true. We've got hired debaters. Hired debaters. I'm not sure what you mean by there. But okay. All right. So bottom line is that our I'm just going to go back to is that as we go through all this and you try to say, okay, are we getting to the meat of what really is going on? Are we getting to I know my perception is going to be my reality. And I know that your perception is going to be your reality. And I'm going to listen to you. Does that mean that I'm going to agree with everything that you say? No, no, it does not. Not even close does that mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. That doesn't mean that I'm going to dismiss you. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, you, not at all. It means that we need to strive to understand one each other. And this goes across all platforms is that if we can just take the time to understand that my background is a bit different than your background is different than your background, and that's what makes this world so great. And that this company, their CEO, president was raised differently, so that's going to color all the way down, and theirs is going to be different, and theirs is going to be different. Oh, and this OEM over here, it was built on this culture, and this one over here and this one over here. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Now, we may not agree with that, but the fact that you're opening your mind to that, that is the key. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Doesn't all. Like if we all agreed with everything, man, that would not be a good situation. We need to challenge that, but in a respectful manner, but also seek to understand the other one. So whatever it may be, whether it's like I said, whether it's in the marketing, whether it's hey, it's selling, whether it's there's a lot of I know EV is a big one right now is, hey, well, I just hate EVs. Okay, let's have that discussion. Why is it that you hate EVs so much? Well, maybe it's a perception that you had that maybe maybe you just don't like batteries. Maybe you hate the energized bunny. I don't know. So I say that sarcastically, but getting to the root of, okay, why is it? And not just to, all right, I'm going to listen to you, but you're never going to change my mind. Okay, well, then you're not really seeking to understand, are you? So whatever it may be, and same thing with your vendor partners of is your vendor partner sitting to seek to understand you and understand really what it is what success looks like to you? Are you having that conversation with them? Well, maybe, maybe not. And if they are looking out for your best interest and not just to, all right, let's have that monthly meeting because I gotta have it, then why are we having it? It should be more of a conversational flow of like, hey, I got a question about this. I'm going to text you real quickly. Can you help out with that? Great. Awesome. Now you're on this communicative journey together to say they're more looking out for ways to help you and you to help them. I know this is just something that's been on my mind for a lot that I think that not think. I see this so often where we're just so quick to judge one another. And I'm going to use Micah Burkholz's words here to villainize each other when it's like, but you don't even know the full story. You're just quickly judging one another to not know. I mean, I had a client that was a certain product wasn't working very well and the advertising wasn't working well. And I went actually right to the source of the CEO, founder of the company, and said, hey, walk me through this. And then getting the full story of like, oh, wait, so you guys do it X, Y, and Z way. Now that's different than any other company. Fully aware of that. Walk me through why. Once I understood, oh, this is the way you do it. This is why you have found success doing it this way. That was never relayed to myself or the client. Now I know why. Now I know this is very successful. Now, okay, so I understand we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way because it's very successful that way. Once you have that thing, but instead, if we're quick just to judge, oh God, that sucks. That's horrible. They're bad. They're horrible. No, let's pump the brakes here. Let's seek to understand. Now I know why. My perception is that's never worked. Oh, but it's going to work here. Now that we understand, if we would have just automatically pulled the ripcord, went the direction that's always worked, it wouldn't have worked with that campaign. Seek to understand. Perception is reality. So that's what I've got. That's what I've got. So real quick recap here is that just continue on the journey of seeking to understand, man. It is so, so important that we do this is knowing that your perception is only your reality. And the person next to you, their perception is colored by their past, by their upbringing, everything that has led up to that point. That is their perception and their reality alone, no one else's. And until you take the moment to understand it, you're not going to fully understand them. And Jeff is saying many dealers are often still locked into yes, they are. They are. And that is something that if you have a progressive dealer, Jeff is saying many dealers are still locked into the disc mentality or did it sell cars mentality. And it's funny, Jeff, that someone, I don't know who said this a couple weeks ago on one of the shows, and there's another disc, and it's not disc, it's actually a training method. It's DIDI, it's the same thing. I was like, it's did it sell cars. If you have a progressive dealer, they will definitely not do that. And it's okay. And so it's that branding mentality. Is it top funnel? Is it lower funnel? Is it mid funnel? Are you branding? Heck, if you're looking at something and it's branding, branding. Heck, this podcast, is this generating income? No, I do this because I want to help people. I get that asked. Anyone that's looking to start a podcast, and they're like, okay, what do I do? How am I going to generate income? I'm like, if you're starting a podcast and thinking that is going to make you money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's a branding campaign. It's branding. It's getting your name out there. But the first time you think that is going to generate you money, you are going to fail. 100% you're going to fail. That's not the mentality. And even with in the automotive industry, is the same thing. Jeff is saying, let's leave work early today and play disc. Or a little frothing, Jeff, a little frothing, I would like to say. In fact, I've never played disc golf. That got brought up with the episode last week about disc golf. And I've got some friends that are like really, really good with it, but I've never played. And considering I've literally thrown the shoulder out by pushing the on button on the camera, it's probably not a good idea. But it's really true, Jeff, going back to that is that going through and having, and once again, seeking to understand, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer, so this campaign, here's what's going to happen. This is a branding campaign. Here are the metrics that we want to look for on this. Normally, if it's a blah, blah, blah campaign, this is going to be a good metric. On this type of campaign, here's where we're going to go for this one. And I have to have the same thing with the other type of campaigns. Like, okay, here's what we're going to look for. Do you have an evergreen campaign? Do you have this type of campaign? And then these are the metrics we want to strive for this. Do you have any type of service campaigns? Do you have a service evergreen campaign? Little things like that. But once again, it goes back to education and trying to break, I'm not going to say bad habits, but old school mentalities about exactly what you just said there, Jeff. And I love that you brought that up because it's a constant battle of, well, we didn't push more metal. Well, yeah, but if you continue to stay on that course of branding, those customers here are going to come down here, and they're going to come down here, and then they're going to come down here. Because I can tell you, statistically speaking, those service videos are going to get clicked on a hell of a lot more than just about any other video. Now, those service videos, are they going to quote unquote sell more cars? In the long run, yes, but in the short term, no, they're not. But they get a lot of engagement, a ton of engagement. So I thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the first of the month. With me being solo, I don't like to belabor the point and go on for an hour by myself. That's too much of me talking. You guys don't want to hear me talking that much. Let's be honest. You really don't. I'm going to wrap up this episode here. And before I do that, I just want to bring it full circle here of to seek to understand. I cannot stress that enough to seek to understand. Number 2, we've got the wonderful Vista Dash Summit coming up here. If you're in town, it's really short. We're doing live interviews from there. If you are going to be there, definitely let me know in the comments. You can text me, you can email me, whatever. I'll make sure that you guys all get first dibs to have the live interviews. And then lastly, we're going to have the wonderful women in automotives. I think it's the 21st and the 22nd, 24th, something like that. I'm getting the dates mixed up. And then the last and final one here is that we have we've got Peter saying, hope before I do that, I do. And then we've got Russell saying, it's okay, Brooke, I'll join you for a conversation sometime. Russell, sounds great. I'll count me in here. I know it's like to be solo. It is. Russell, I will say it was definitely planned like this to be solo today specifically for this reason. I try as much as possible not to be solo, but there's every so often it is. And then the last announcement we've got here is that the structure of the show is changing. I just want to make sure without you all, I don't have a show. And I'm so, so grateful for you all. And especially for those that have been with me from day one and been the struggles of from Zoom to Restream to StreamYard, from not having a mic to everything. And as always, that the whole goal has been to just help and educate and move the industry forward. So it probably won't be until probably July-ish that we start to change the structure. And all it is going to be that Thursday, the actual show, the full show will be released, and then Friday. And we'll talk about this. I'll do some polling to see how we kind of want to do is. And then yes, Jeff, your birthday is it's June 12th. I actually commented on there. I was like, June 12th is your birthday. And Russell, you're awesome as well, buddy. Thank you so much. And I wish Jeff talks so low that you can't hear. Is I do want your opinions on this. Like I said, I'll do a couple polls to see how we want to do this. Is that the Friday shows, once we start this new cadence, if we want to re-air, the Thursday show will go. On Thursday, the shows will drop on every single platform. Friday will still go live. If we want to do hey, let's re-air the show from Thursday and re-air it on LinkedIn, or we just do like a fireside chat and talk about the show that was released. So I am going to, because of you guys, I have a show. So I do want to get some interaction on what you want on that Friday show, whether it's a re-air of the Thursday show that went live, or if we just want to do a sit and chat, a fireside chat. So we'll get some feedback on that. But those are the three big announcements. The last one probably being the biggest because it affects you all but I'm not going anywhere. I'm having too much fun doing this, and I'm learning way too much from all of you, and it brings value. Exactly. I know I'm doing this to help everyone, but to be honest, I learned so much from you all commenting, from the guests that come on the show. Maybe it's a little bit selfish of me that I want to keep doing this, to be quite honest. It's like I learned so much from all of you, and I so appreciate every one of you that continue to comment, to continue to share. I just am so thankful for all of you. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of I know it's first of the month, but your weekend. You had a great close of the month. Jeff, I believe that you had mentioned earlier you had a killer May. So awesome job on that. I just kudos to that. Love hearing that. So appreciate that. So with that, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. I so appreciate everything, all the input, all the feedback you all bring. I so appreciate everything that you do. And as always, find a way to serve today. Find a way to help your neighbor, your coworker, hell, even your vendor partner. I don't care who it is. I mean, if it's, as we just talked about, perception versus reality, that could be something that's taking the time to hear someone, taking the time to understand them and understand, oh, wait, that's what you meant. But just find a way to help someone today, find a way to serve someone today, help them. And with that, everyone, we're going to get out of here. Have an awesome rest of your day, your weekend, and we'll talk to everyone next week.